Should be good. All right, y'all. Happy Monday. This is kind of new for us. Normally we do calls on Tuesdays, and so we switched to Monday so more people could come. So there's a few more people popping on, but we are going to go ahead and just dive in today. I invited two people to share their stories about just kind of, I think verbatim, I said, tell us about the good, the bad, the ugly, like all the things that you've been through since you've been in Plexus. Because I think if you're here long enough, you're going to learn that nobody's journey goes like this. It is always like this, and people hit different bumps. And sometimes it's just nice to know that you're not alone. So we're going to start with Becca. She's going to just tell us about her story and then throw it over to Justine.
All right, I am going to figure out how to share my screen. Okay, do y'all see that? Okay, so this is Tara Philbrook is amazing, and she helped me with this because I don't actually even have Excel on my computer anymore. I haven't had it for like a year. Um, but she made this for me. I gave her all the information, and you can see this is from when I started until now. So this is over 20 since June of 2021, and you can see how like just the ups and downs. Like I'll talk a little bit more specifically what the points are, but I have been with Plexus, as you can see, since 2021. So been like a little over 3 years, almost 3.5 years, I guess. And I'm a senior gold ambassador, and you can kind of see what that journey has looked like. So just like Brittany said, like it is not like just shooting up to the top. Like it does not happen very often. I'm not gonna say it never happens because there's probably some people out there, but I would not say that that is the norm. That is absolutely the exception. And congrats to you if that is your story, but probably it is not. So, um, that is just like kind of the visual representation. So, can y'all see me talking to you, or can you only see the screen? Okay. Okay. Cool. So, when I first got started, and I actually started with products in March of 2021, and I was so anti MLM, I asked my sponsor if I could sign up without signing up under her. Like, so rude. But I was just like, I don't want to do, I don't want to be a part of that. Like, I just want to feel better, but I really like have such an ick in my mouth about network marketing, about, the pyramid schemes, all of that. I was like, I don't want to do that. And she's like, well, you can't. Like, if you're gonna use a price, you're gonna be signed up under somebody. So why wouldn't you want to be signed up under somebody you know? And I was like, okay, fine. So I got started anyway. Didn't tell my husband because he also was very like anti-MLM from past experiences. And so I just like didn't tell him, and I just started taking some stuff and like tried to get the packages before he noticed. And I run our finances, so he didn't see it on our credit card. And so this was, I guess, like on the heels about a year after COVID had officially, like the pandemic started. And my husband's job is youth sports in a nutshell, which is not a mandatory cost for most families. They don't necessarily prioritize that. So whenever the pandemic hit, his season was almost over anyway. So that 2019 to 2020 year wasn't really impacted financially for our family. It was the following season of like starting a season mid-pandemic of fall of 2020 going into 2021, where we weren't really sure what that was going to look like for our family financially. I worked part-time at a church in Houston, and we had one baby. And I was just like, refuse to go back to work full time. I refuse. I will like look under every rock possible before I go back to work full time, especially with a kid. But we just didn't know what his income was going to look like. And so I asked my friend, I said, okay, I know I said never, but what if I did do it? Like, what would that look like? And so I went ahead and got started based at the kind of like the end of May. I think I technically enrolled my very first person like May 31st of that year, but didn't really kind of get going until June. So went silver in June, 42 points. July, senior silver. I enrolled my first runner who was to be my first runner, but I didn't know it at the time. August was actually the first time my points ever went backwards, as you can see. So went back down just a few. And then September back on the up and up. So September all the way through, what is that like? Honestly, I think all the way until March of 2022, everything was just on the up and up. Like there was so much momentum, everything was exciting. I went gold in October, created my first, sorry, I was 2 points from gold in September and created my first silver in September right after I got started. October, I did go gold. November, everything's still going up. My runner goes senior silver. December points are still going up. My senior silver is holding rank. She's adding people still, but she's not quite gold. January, she hits gold and she develops her own level one silver and like everything. It's just so fun. Like duplications happening. I'm like, this is so great. There's so much momentum. And February points are still going up. March, we hit 300 points, and that's to this day still my highest points. And I will just never forget that month. It was so exciting. My person was like, oh, probably around 170, 180 points in her own business. So she was like getting closer and closer to senior gold too. She had created a senior silver. It was a remarkable month. So like that was the incentive. Sometimes they've done iPads. This was the remarkable, which Brittany ended up, I know Brittany got it and she has really liked hers. Um, and so it was just everything was just moving the right direction. It's like, you know how like we just said, like no one's story is going to be straight up. Like I'm pretty sure at that point I was like, well, that's going to be me, right? Like look at the trajectory. Of course, how could it not? Well, you're gonna probably, if you haven't yet, you may come to find that like when you're working with people, you're working with people. And that means you're working with people you like, you're working with people you don't always like. And if you're working with people you get along with really well naturally, and sometimes you're gonna be working with people you may not naturally get along with really well. And even if you do get along with them really well, like we are all broken people and we are all sinners and we are going to clash and have relational issues from time to time. And so there had been kind of some weird things going on with my sponsor at the time. And like she just was kind of in and out a little bit. There was so much excitement in March and like she was, everything was kind of seemed all in, but we had been probably having some like clashing of personalities a little bit. And then following that, she kind of just started to disappear. And we're like, I don't know what's happening, but she just wasn't super present. And any conversations we had were not like the best conversations. They weren't very, uplifting or like positive. And then, she does go to convention and she seems like she's all in again. And so like as a team, like she had a few runners and we had been talking about for the last year or so, like doing like a gold retreat contest or something, like trying to, you know, incentivize our girls. Cause at this time she had a couple of us who had a couple of people. And so we kind of talked her and almost forced her hand a little bit into doing a gold retreat. And so she did it. And there was like this whole contest period in the fall. And you can see like this is like when my points actually start going down. So then they don't start going back up again until later that year. But during that contest period, like my runner ends up basically quitting. Like she just had hit some hard stuff in her personal life and she had hit some roadblocks, some obstacles in her own business. And like she just the mindset wasn't really there. And she decided it wasn't for her anymore. So blessed and release, she, still gets a paycheck actually. And so that's pretty cool. But my runner ended up quitting. Drama with the sponsor a little bit. We do hold this contest. A handful of us earn it. There's probably 6 or 7 of us who end up going to this retreat, which is in January of 2023. And it's really awkward. But we do it. It's awkward with her, but it's great with the other girls. But then after that retreat is over, like our sponsor just like falls off the place, like falls off the face of the earth. Like we like don't hear from her ever again to this day. I think we've exchanged like 3 like niceties about like, I hope your kid feels better or whatever, like random things, right? And so it was just to this day, no explanation. And that honestly was very hard because I remember when I like one of the reasons that I even reached out to her was because like I remember when she went Emerald. Also, yeah, she was an Emerald. So she was a jewel, and I just like could not fathom somebody making that much money choosing to quit, especially not even having a conversation. And at this point, we've been working together for over a year, and we'd had a lot of good conversations too. Like we've had some tough ones, but we had also had some really good ones. And I had shared some very personal things with her. So when she decided to just completely cold shoulder, stop talking to me, that hurt a lot. And so that was really hard for me personally, as like that was a huge mental roadblock. Like I honestly like didn't really know what I was doing anymore. I felt homeless. I felt like an orphan. Jordan Roddenberry is fantastic, and she was trying to help as best she could without stepping over any lines because there had never been a conversation with my sponsor at the time. And so a handful of months go by. I don't know exactly where I'm at on my timeline at this point, to be honest, but it took a long time to get over that. Like I would say close to a year. And so then on top of that, like you can see my points, I'm around this area now into 2023, end of 2022. And like my points are just going further and further down. I at this point don't have any runners. Occasionally one or two people might add their mom or whatever, but having a really hard time creating silvers. Um, and I'm pregnant again with our second baby. My husband's job ended up being totally fine and totally secure. So at this point, like we really don't need the money. And so I'm like, okay, well, I got started for the money, but we don't really need it. I have a young kid. My kids are 2.5 years apart. So I have a toddler and I'm pregnant with a second baby. I'm about to have a second baby. My husband is traveling a ton. Um, our money, financially, we're fine. But he's traveling a ton. Honestly, like our marriage, it was terrible, was like in the crapper, like it was not good. We weren't communicating. You know, if we did talk, it was like logistics about the kids or like what his schedule was like or whatever. I had left my job at the church. Oh no, sorry. Maybe I did leave. I can't remember exactly, but I was leaving my job at the church too. So it's like there was just a lot going on. And I was like, why am I here? Like, why am I still doing this? I don't have a sponsor anymore. Like, and I don't know if I should say this or not, but like, I had to get over the fact that like I was making someone money who no longer was pouring into me. And that was hard to get over. And I really just had to come to this place of like, that I at least know exactly the type of leader I don't want to be. And like, I will never do that to people who have entrusted me with this opportunity. Like, even if even when I'm like double diamond, like, I'm still going to be available and have an open door of communication for these people who I have helped get to whatever place they've gotten, because I absolutely do not want to be like her. And so also at some point Jordan did step in and we all had a really good conversation with me and the other couple people who were the leftovers, the orphan Annies. Um, but October of 2023, my points were the lowest they had been since basically I first started, since November of 2021. And it was just like everything was going down. No, I wasn't duplicating. I was just like on this hamster wheel of trying to recruit just to try to maintain. And I didn't even know why I was doing it. Like it was so hard. And it it kind of came to this point where it was probably like at the beginning of the year. And y'all, when I say like I was on this hamster wheel, like I was being so consistent. Like that was something that I had been really intentional about as of like January of 2022, I think, or January 2023. Like, so we're over a year of consistency in and like no fruit. Like, it was so defeating. Um, and not having a reason to keep going at this point, truly the only reason I kept doing it was because I was too stubborn to quit. Because I had told some people like, I will be here when you're ready. And even though they still weren't ready yet, I felt so convicted that I had to stay doing it in case they decided they were going to be ready. And so I just kept trudging through the mud. And that's what it felt like every single freaking day. And it was not very fun. So where does this get better? Um, So a year ago, I quit my job at the church, and our marriage still not do wasn't still was not doing very good. Husband was still traveling a lot. Now I have two kids at home, and I'm home with them more. And the whole reason was like to have more time, right? Like that's why I quit my other job. And so still kind of floundering around for my why. But then I just like had this revelation at the beginning of this year where I was like, okay, my future business builders are not people I already know. Like I have to start widening my net, growing my network, and becoming friends with people I don't know. And that might mean on the internet, making internet friends. And so that was something I just like started focusing more on and focusing more on posting about the business and less about the products and just like made that shift. And in March of this year, I met my friend Kira, and she is now my next runner. And she lives in LA, and we are Instagram friends. We had not met in real life. We just fostered this relationship over social media. And then we did get to meet in real life this summer, which was really fun until my family got her family a stomach bug. But she still likes me. So that's great. Um, and so you can see here, I guess, I don't know, I can't see it, but like points are like kind of stable-ish, and then they start to go up late, like end of the first quarter of this year. And that was the shift. Like when I basically it was just like, okay, we don't need the money. We do have decent amount of time. And also I started counseling then. So that was also another really big piece of it. Not just me and my husband doing counseling together, but me doing counseling on my own. I remember talking to Chandler, and she asked, she was like, what are you avoiding? And like what I was avoiding had nothing to do with plexus. It had everything to do with me and my own past and like different things that I
What?
had not,
What? What
um,
do you want?
sorry, I don't know if I
What do
can,
you,
yeah, okay, that I had not addressed and like worked through before. And I did not realize how much that was really affecting like my own like perception of my self-worth and like what I deserve to have, as far as like success and stuff goes. Throwing on top of all of that, the drama and the history with the person who I had entrusted to help guide me into, what like into this jewel world of plexus land, her quitting and like making that mean something about me. Like it all just kind of compiled and worked through that, met Kira, changed, like shifted my mindset to be like, okay, I need to just like meet different people and stop, beating a dead horse essentially. And so from there, everything kind of had been on the up. There's still like some dips here and there, but like the momentum is there. And like, Kira, several other people went silver. I think this quarter I've created 3 silvers. And, other people like one-off ads here and there. But the biggest thing was like having to make those mindset shifts of like, okay, I don't know why I'm here anymore. So why am I here? Like, what is that? Like, why am I putting up with all of this crap? And why is it worth it? And for me, it came down to being tired of letting other people's opinions or actions dictate the ceiling I put on my own life. And whether it's stuff from childhood and whatever those hurts were from kids or friends or parents or family or whatever, to my own insecurities about stuff, to whatever with your sponsor or your sideline friends or someone else in the business you look up to. Like, I was like, I want to do this for me. Like, again, like it's not even about the money at this point. It's just like, I want to prove that like I can do this. Like I can grow and I can be successful in my own right. I don't need to ride the coattails of my husband, and I don't need to ride the coattails of my friend who's been successful before me. Like this is for me. And we do have a lot of time freedom because of what my husband does, but other people don't. And like, I want to be able to provide that for other people. And so at this point, it's not about me and it's not about the money. And there's actually so much more freedom in that than like chasing a certain income, I feel like, because it's just so much bigger than that. So I'm kind of rambling, but I think that's all I got. I'm sorry if that was too long. So over to you,
It's not
Justine.
too long. And this is what happens when you start telling your story. You're just like, man, there's a lot of stuff I gotta get through. Like it's just because that's how it goes. So Justine's gonna take over now. I will try and give you or Becca, it might show you the warning. I'm not sure, like the 5-minute warning. But just take it away.
All right. Hi, I'm Justine. I am, I guess, a gold level. Um, but I have been doing this, I started a year and a half ago. I honestly just started to support my husband. I wanted to do just the products. He was going through an incredible weight loss journey and doing lots of research just to help support him. And so that's how I got started. I told my sponsor, Amy, I was like, there's no way I'm doing this business. I am way too busy. That's not who I am. I'm not a salesy type person at all. Um,
Tell us how busy you are though.
okay, so I'm an athletic trainer. I take care of all of our athletes. I have over 300 athletes, high school and middle school. Um, so I have games majority of the week. Actually, this week I have a game every single week or every single day except for Wednesday, that I have to be at. So when I say I'm busy, I'm busy. Like I am busy from 7 o'clock in the morning till 8 or close to 10 some nights. So yes, I fill it up with quite a bit of work. Um, so she understood that. She knew where I was coming from, but just kept bringing that opportunity to me, just kept talking to me about it. She knew that we had just recently moved and that finances were always tight. If you've ever moved, you understand that. And so we were making it just fine. I didn't need to start the business because I needed an extra income or anything like that. I honestly decided to start sharing because one, people were asking me what I was doing, and what I was drinking. And I wanted some guilt-free mama cash, honestly. And so I was like, might as well. And so Amy talked to me about my goals and did all of those things. And I was like, you know what? Gold is it. That's all I need, and I'll be perfectly content with life. Um, and so that summer, I started May of 2023, and that summer I took off. Never really paid attention to my points or doing any of the systems or anything like that. I was just talking to people and signing them up, and it was great. We were having so much fun. Um, I started back school in August, and I got busy. I came up with every excuse not to check in with my people, not to join the Zooms, not to do all of those things. Um, and of course, my business suffered from it. By Christmas of last year, I was barely keeping silver points. And so I had this incredible start, fast start, everything. And I was so close to gold that I didn't even realize it. But I let all of that go. And I have my sponsor, Amy, to completely thank for all of it. She's the only reason I'm still here. She kept messaging me, she kept reaching out to me. Um, she knew that I wasn't making any of the Zooms or doing any of the stuff, but she still kept loving on me. Still kept, sending me stuff to work on or kept me in the loop with some of the challenges. She knows that I'm very competitive. So she would create little challenges for me. Um, but it wasn't until April when Jordan Gibson called me up and said, hey, let's talk and let's figure out your why. Like, tell me why you want to do this. Um, and I was like, Jordan, I have no idea. Like, I just because I want to, I guess. I want that guilt-free. I just want a little bit of spending cash. She was like, okay, you're getting that right now, just with keeping silver points. What else, though? Like, what else do you want? What other dreams do you have? And we talked for a really long time. She asked me probably the same questions that y'all have either asked or have been asked of if you became diamond tomorrow, what would you do? And I hope I don't cry on this one, but it still gets me. I I broke down right there on the phone with her and I just said, Jordan, I've never been able to dream that big. Never in my entire life. Um, I I grew up not knowing if we were going to eat supper and all of that. And so when she asked that, I couldn't give her an answer. And that was hard. That was really hard for me because I have so many, like I want to change that for my kids, my own kids. Um, and so I got off that call and I just cried for the rest of the evening. And I finally just sat down with my husband. We wrote down some dreams, if we were to ever become diamond and what we would do. And it was a lot of our dreams that we wrote down, we laughed about because it's something we feel like we'll never get to, but we at least know that that's something we're chasing after. We are able to dream again. And so that honestly sparked something in me. And this summer, I started adding some more people. I started being more consistent with my posting and my conversations, went to convention. And again, that's where it all changed. Um, Getting to actually meet some of these incredible women that I got to see on Zooms and build relationships with. Um, Getting to see Brittany and meeting Becca and all of y'all, like that changed so much for me. I'll never forget sitting in one of the breakout sessions with oh my gosh, her name just slipped my mind. Amber Miller, is that right? I think it was. Anyways, she's Diamond, and she challenged us to create an alarm, um, a daily alarm to remind us of where we're going, what goal we're going after, and just some daily affirmation. Yes, affirmation. And and so I did it. And every day at a certain time, it goes off. And whatever I wrote is what I read every single day. I don't hit snooze or I don't hit stop. I pause what I'm doing at that moment and I read it. And she also challenged us to write some of our goals out so that we could see them too. And at first, I didn't do that. Um, I finished the summer on a very high. I was halfway to senior gold, and I felt great. I called Amy up, and she thought I was quitting, but I cried and I said, Amy, I'm scared. I said, this is where I lost it all again. And so we created a system, a goal, a new way of doing things just for me, with my busy schedule. And I created a lot of my systems that I'm using today, of just customer care, just being consistent, whatever works for me. It's completely different than what everybody else is doing, but somehow it's working right now. Um, Obviously, this fall has been incredibly crazy. I don't have enough time to go into all of that. But that has done a lot to my mental health. And I woke up one morning and decided that I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know if I've told you, Brittany, but I'm not going back. When the school year's over, I'm not going to be an athletic trainer anymore. Um, And that's amazing to say, because I want more time with my kids. I'm ready. I am done working all the time. This right here is what fills my cup, and that's important to me. So when I decided that, I'm gonna get emotional. But when I decided that, that's when I knew something had to change. There are all kinds of things on my mirror that I see every day when I get ready. Um, I have my list of goals. I have the people that I want to do this business with. I have Bible verses. I have quotes. I have all kinds of things. And it's daily reminders of my why. If you do not have a why, you've got to find that. That's the only thing that's going to keep you going through the really hard times. Um, I've done a lot of personal growth this fall, and I did all of the gold stuff. Like I did all of that all by myself. I'm so tired of it. I'm ready to have a team. And it is so much fun to see my friends doing all of the scary things that I'm doing too. I've got 3 people right now. They're not quite silver yet, but I know it's going to happen. I've got 3 people, and that's honestly what I do now. I talk about the business. Um, when people tell me it's too expensive, okay, great. Let's talk about the business and find you 3 or 4 people. I know you've probably heard that 1,000 times, but it really is that simple. So, I'm not sure if I will hit all of my goals. My goal when I decided that I was done being an athletic trainer was to be Ruby in May. I'm not sure if I'll get there, but you know what? It's okay. It's perfectly okay because I know where I'm meant to be. And we will figure it out. So, but you've got to find your why. And once you do, then everything, or at least it changed for me. Once I truly found out my real why, then it changed everything. So I'm going to stop there. I know we have 3 minutes, so.
This is when I'm like kicking myself. Why didn't I pay for the Zoom? But seriously, I didn't plan this. I didn't know what they were gonna say. I didn't know that they were both gonna come back and basically be like, you know what pulled me out of like those ruts and deciding like why I'm gonna be here? It was revisiting my why. It was figuring out what was really important to me, and how to make Plexus be the vehicle for that. And so I love that both y'all talked about that. I love that both of y'all also talked about like you had to go do some soul searching. You've done personal development, you've done counseling, you've had hard conversations with your spouses. You guys have dreamed together. Y'all, you are not in this alone. And we mean that on our team, but we also mean that like you've got to have your stakeholders too, your family members, your best friends, y'all. Some of my best friends, they don't even do Plexus, but like they know my dreams with Plexus and they cheer me on. And I'm like, listen, I'm here for it. It's cool. And you better believe when I'm going Emerald, you're going to buy products. So I'm just saying that uh, no one says this is easy, okay? But everyone says that it's worth it. And so you will not talk to one diamond who's like, I regret doing that. I regret those hard days. I regret those late nights or those early mornings. I regret working through the deep and the hard. You're not going to be one diamond that says that. Like, I'm here to tell you that. Find one for me and I'll pay you maybe not like 1 million. That's a lot, but like a lot of money. Okay. If you can find that. Um, but for real, guys, you know what I think one of my favorite things is that when I feel like I'm going through a hard time in my business, I just stop, I pause, I let it feel hard for a minute, and then I just think, wow, this is just like one snippet of my story that I'm going to tell 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, and someone's going to hear that and say, that's me, and I can do this. Okay. So every little nugget of your story is going to resonate with someone, maybe right now, maybe next month, maybe a year from now. And so just know that what you're going through is potentially going to be the inspiration for someone else one day. So Thank y'all for being on tonight. I do have some announcements. I'll put them in the thread. Can we get some thanks for our ladies who spent their time with us tonight? Thank y'all, Justine. Thank you, Becca. Really, really appreciate hearing y'all's stories. Like I'm just excited for y'all. I'm excited for what's next. So y'all have a great night.